Hey everyone, greetings from Brno here in the Czech Republic. Kind of a rainy, rained out weekend here we've got, but making the best of it with some Moravian wine, of course, on this Saturday afternoon. Today I wanted to focus on grapes from South Moravia. So this region just continues to wow me with the breadth of grapes that they have, the different techniques winemakers are using, and this kind of exponential growth that we're seeing in this region. So I wanted to definitely make this video about South Moravia today, 100% through and through. So both of the grapes I'm going to be talking about today were created here in this region. You can't find them anywhere else. So pretty fascinating to have 100% Moravian grapes on my video today. And I wanted to zero in on a producer that I've actually showed in a few wine tastings before. I really like his wines. I think they're really classic and show great concentration. This is Libor Veverka. So Veverka Family Winery. They're located in Čejkovice, which is like 20 minutes from Brno. It's pretty close. It's located in one of the 4 subregions of South Moravia, Velké Pavlovice. It's close to Hustopeče, which is a fairly larger village. Čejkovice is a tiny bit smaller, but equally important, of course. But yeah, a quick ride from Brno. You'll be there in a half hour by the bus. So pretty easy to get there. Veverka Winery was started in the early 2000s by Libor Veverka and his wife, Dana. And they host wine tastings there, between 10 and 20 people in their cellar. They actually have overnight accommodations as well. So for all of you Brno folks looking to get out of town for the weekend with, a little bit more safety precautions around, contact the Veverka family. I'm sure they'd be happy to have you during the summertime. And what I like really about this winery is that they're growing their own fruit, they're making their own wine, so they're not buying in any fruit from other growers around the area. They farm 3 hectares of land in the Čejkovice area, and they make about 25,000 to 30,000 bottles a year, of course, depending on the vintage. And I like that they're focusing on these Moravian grapes. Of course, they produce other styles of wine as well, with a little bit more notoriety in terms of the grape varieties they're using. But I enjoy the fact that they're playing with these Moravian-only grapes, so a little bit of exclusivity here, which is kind of nice. But what I like about these 2 wines as well is that they're well made, they're concentrated, they show nice aromatic character, they're not overly influenced by oak, they just show a nice purity of fruit. And I think that's so important in winemaking. I think that kind of gets lost sometimes. But going into these 2 grapes today, there's a lot to talk about. So the first wine I'm going to be showing today here on video is Muškát Moravský. So Moravian Muscat. It says it in the name here. So Muškát Moravský was first registered in the Czech Republic in the State Registrar of Grape Varieties in 1987. So it's a fairly newcomer to the wine scene here in the region. And again, it's not a heavily planted grape. There's about 2% of land under vine in Moravia dedicated to Muškát Moravský. So this isn't as prominent as Grüner Veltliner or Sauvignon Blanc, but I think it has its rightful place in the region. Muškát Moravský typically has low acidity, nice floral aromas. You don't tend to see it matured or fermented in oak. It's usually done in stainless steel to kind of retain those really nice aromatic and floral components to the wine. The grape itself is an early to mid ripening grape. From what I've spoken with a lot of winemakers here in the region, obviously, and a lot of them have mentioned that with climate change, it's getting harder and harder to cultivate Muškát Moravský because it's an early ripening grape that has low acidity naturally in the grape itself. But the problem is with climate change, it's getting warmer and warmer and warmer, and they're picking earlier and earlier and earlier. So I spoke with one winemaker a few months ago that was picking in mid to late August, which is pretty early. Typically you harvest Muškát Moravský in September. So it's going to be interesting to see if this grape has the longevity through these environmental changes happening in our world today. But I'm happy to say that at the moment, there's Muškát Moravský, it is delicious, and thanks to winemakers like Libor Veverka, who are dedicated to maintaining the integrity of these local grapes. What I also love about this one is its screw cap. So it makes it really easy to bring on a picnic, to stock sideways in your fridge if you need to make more space. And the screw cap helps to retain that freshness and that great floral character to it. So talking a little bit about their Muškát Moravský today, this grape is a crossed grape variety. It's a crossing of Muscat Ottonel and Prachttraube, which is an Austrian-German word meaning actually lovely grape, which is kind of cute. But this grape, like I mentioned, was developed in the late 80s and was first entered into the Czech registrar in 1987. So, like I said, fairly newcomer grape on the scene. The wine itself has a fairly pale, almost translucent lemon color, slight hints of green, little hues of green on there too. But beautiful floral aromatic, citrus fruit, kind of orange, mandarin orange. There's a fresh lemon note to it. Even a little, like a leafy mint, like a fresh mint note to it as well. And that typical nutmeg character that's inherent to this grape is certainly in the aromatics of this wine. But just a fresh, really perfumed kind of nose on there. Nice light body to it, low acid. So what I like about Muškát Moravský is it does provide an alternative to the consumer. If, a lot of people they have a difficulty drinking white wine because it's so high in acid. And, if it's not high in acid, it has a lot of oak and malolactic notes to it, like creaminess and buttery, where you lose that acidity, but you gain this other textural component. Whereas Muškát Moravský is low in acid, but you still get this beautiful, fresh, floral, fragrant aroma that's delicate and very refreshing and just a really lovely nose. Texturally, the wine is light-bodied. Seems to be low in alcohol, 11.5% alcohol. So this is a nice picnic wine, breakfast wine, as they like to call it here. But I won't call the wine simple because I think that's doing it a disservice. What I like about its simplicity is that it's fresh and floral, again, low in acid. So for those looking for a wine that's not as piercing as Sauvignon Blanc or Riesling or Grüner Veltliner, pick up a Muškát Moravský. I think it gives you that same concentrated aromatic, but at the same time, not so much acid. This would be a great partner to some pâté as well, some duck pâté or a nice pork pâté. I think it'd be delicious with it. I think it'd be a nice, refreshing accompaniment to that fatty salt that you get from pâté. Talking a little bit about the next grape today, again, made in Moravia. So this is Neronet. So there's a lot to talk about with Neronet. So this is actually a crossed grape variety, again, of 3 different grapes. So you're looking at Alibernet, you're looking at Svatovážnecké, St. Laurent, and Blauer Portugieser, or Blauer Portugieser. So there's a lot behind this grape, this Neronet. Again, this is Libor Veverka's Neronet 2018, Pozdní sběr, so late harvest, and the wine is dry, looking at 12% alcohol. And Neronet was a little bit of an older grape variety than Muškát Moravský. Neronet was developed in 1965 by the very prestigious professor, Dr. Wilhelm Krauss. And Dr. Krauss is the one responsible for South Moravia today. He started the viticulture program in Brno's Mendel University. He developed loads and loads of grapes for the region, Neronet being one of them. and his legacy lives on. Dr. Kraus passed away in 2013, and he, like I said, by people using the grapes that he developed, he's able to stay in the hearts and minds of the South Moravian wine community forever. So, talking a little bit about Neronet, as I mentioned, so you've got 3 grapes: Alibernet, which is another crossing of Alicante Bouschet and Cabernet Sauvignon. Wine can be really confusing. So you've got Alibernet, Modri Portugal, and Svatovažnecké, or Saint Laurent. So you're crossing these 3. What I love about Neronet, it gives you this really plump, medium to full bodied texture, lots of cocoa notes, lots of chocolate notes, dark plum and black cherry and black currant. It's fruity, but at the same time, very just soft and rich and full. So for those red wine lovers looking to pick something up Moravia only, like I said, with Neronet developed here in the region, you can have a delicious red wine, and you don't have to pay the price for a foreign wine. These wines were very affordable, and I picked them up here in Brno at Global Wines. So easy to get your hands on them. The color of this wine is magenta. I mean, it's fuchsia, magenta, almost purple. This is very typical of this grape variety. This was the one I did show at a wine tasting, a Moravia wine tasting at Petit Cru last year, and it showed really well. People were really looking for that plump red fruited character and black fruited character on a red wine from the region. So I was very thrilled to see this Neronet do so well in the tasting. But again, this color is just beautiful. Very, very purple. And the nose has that gorgeous black currant jam, chocolate, blackberry, black cherry, fruity, but not in a sweet sense. It doesn't give you that raisiny sensation like sometimes like Amarone or something. It just has that beautiful, pleasant, fresh black fruit character and that little bit of chocolate that I really like too. So, medium bodied, again, soft acidity, very delicate, soft tannins. This is not a wine that's going to be drying your mouth of any liquid. This is very easy to drink, very subtle. There's a little bit of like a smoky sensation on the finish too. This would be great with barbecue, burger, something like that. Something off the grill. I think that charred quality on the food would bring out a little bit more of those chocolate notes, that little blackberry note. The wine is dry. There's very little residual sugar in this wine, about 1.5 grams, I think, per liter. So you're looking at a dry red wine that gives you that plump, plummy, chocolatey, fruity character. And as I mentioned, with the grape like Neronet, you have Dr. Kraus's legacy living on here in South Moravia. So if you want to learn more about these grapes and some others that are here in the region, I recommend looking at wineofczechrepublic.com. I'll list it here. It's a great resource for people looking to learn a little bit more about the region, to learn more about the wines here. And I'm thrilled, actually, because the Concours Mondial de Bruxelles will be hosted here in Brno in September. The date has been postponed, so looking forward to hopefully meeting some of the other judges who will be attending the competition and getting to show them a little bit about South Moravia and all these cool grapes that are here, and only here, of course, in the region. So that being said, I hope everyone enjoys the weekend. Go and check out some of these interesting grapes, especially while you're living here. We have such a wide range of opportunities to taste wine, and I highly recommend taking advantage of that to learn more about the culture and wines of South Moravia. I love what I do, so if you ever need tips or need advice, just shout me a message on Instagram or Facebook. I'm always happy to give tips on winemakers or different regions to check out. So I'm going to enjoy these Muškát Moravský and Neronet this afternoon, and I hope everyone gets your hands on some Moravian wine soon. Cheers from Brno. Ahoy! Cheers.